Welcome to Make Your Mark podcast, where guests share their experiences, insights, and tactics to help you accelerate your business. So building, scaling, and monetizing your business is made easier. And I will be your host, Kay Suthar. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Make Your Mark podcast. And oh boy, do I have an awesome guest for you today. Her name is Trudie Avery, and she is an award-winning branding expert, designer, and mentor, best known as the founder of Logo Lady. With nearly 30 years in the design industry and over 2 decades running creative businesses, she helps business owners build confidence, distinctive brands that truly reflect their value. Now, Trudie combines strategic thinking with creativity and clarity, supporting clients to stand out, attract the right audience, and feel proud of how they show up. Now, she also speaks on branding and visibility at business events, sharing practical, straight talk advice rooted in the real world experience. Driven by her core value of fun, we all love fun here, guys, right? If it ain't fun, why are we doing it? Creativity and kindness, Trudie is passionate about helping others move from invisible to unstoppable. So please welcome Trudie. Oh my goodness, so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm like, who is she? She sounds great. Oh, that's me.
Now, Trudie, I've got so many questions for you here right now. We met in November in the UK at an event at the bar, and it was kind of like you were like 6 foot tall.
I think I fell over you, didn't I? I tripped on something. What? Okay.
We met at the bar, and I was like, whoa, you're like a skyscraper, right? You're so tall. And then since then, it feels like we've been best friends ever since, right? So I knew I had to have you on the podcast. And so there's so many questions I want to ask you. But before we get into all the nitty gritty, I would love for you to share with our audience a little bit about your background and how you got to this point in business and being successful, because we all know it doesn't happen at the click of a finger.
No, the overnight success that took 23 years in the making. That's me.
Oh, wow.
So I've been a graphic designer for 29 years. 29 years as a graphic designer. Literally, ever since I left school, I was like, I'm going to be a graphic designer. And that's kind of all I've done forever.
Yeah.
But I've been working for myself for 23 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And in that time, I've gone from being just me to having a partner, to growing the business and having 2 partners and 5 staff. So being a digital agency, I got to a point sort of 11 years after that started. I got to the point where my 2 business partners wanted to take the business in one direction. And I was like, I need it to be more creative, because it was digital marketing, and they were really going down more of a programming route, and it was all, I got bored, to be fair. I was a bit like, if it's not design, I'm not really interested. Like, just my passion is jumping in and getting to understand people, who they are, what they do, why they do it, how they do it, who they do it for, and then making that into visuals. Like, that's my passion, my strength, and I wasn't doing it, and I was a bit like, yeah, okay, buy me out. And they were like, what? Are you kidding? And I was like, nah, I'm off. I'm off with my Mac under my arm. I walked off, signed my documents to say, no, I won't take any clients, no staff, nothing. But I want my Mac. And and so I did. And that was in 2016, and started all over again. So literally from the ground up, like no clients, nothing. And you do what you do, you go out, you go networking, and you start calling up people who were from like 10 years ago, whatever, and say, do you know what? I'd love to work with you again. And yeah, just building up from the ground upwards. And this time, for me, it was, yeah, I'm going to do it my way. I'll do it, yeah. My way, I won't say. But yeah, I just wanted to do what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, and I've been loving it. I mean, it's hairy, isn't it? Like you go out and you start your own business, and you think you're jumping into this big precipice of the unknown,
Right.
and you kind of, you launch a parachute on the way down half the time because it's scary, and you just jump. But yeah, I love it. I love just having myself that I have to worry about and justify things too.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to take a couple of steps back here, right? Because you said that you knew that you wanted to be a graphic designer, right? Right from the get-go. Now, how did you come about like knowing this and knowing this is your passion? Because I feel like a lot of people struggle in that area. They don't always know what they want to do. So
Mm.
what was that instant thing, or was it instant, or was it something that took a long time? But what was that thing that when you realized this is it, this is my path?
So at school, I did GCSE design and communication, and I thought at that point I wanted to be an accountant. I
Oh,
know. So I did maths, French, and economics. Chose those for my A levels, and then over the holidays, I was thinking, yeah, but what about this graphics? What about it? What about it? And it wouldn't go away. And I was like, oh. So the day before the A level started, I went into school and spoke to the head of sixth form. I was like, can I switch economics for design and communication? And he looked at the board and he said, yeah, we can make that work. So I did A levels. And then after A levels, I was like, I still wasn't like, I didn't really know what a graphic designer was at that point. I'd
okay.
done some of those psychometric tests, and and it had come out graphic designer, and I thought, well, what's that? What even is that? So I thought, and I applied to Lincoln Art College at the time. This is going back a bit, okay, back in the old
It's
days.
all good.
But I applied to Lincoln Art College to do a 1 year foundation course, like a general art and design course, to try and figure it out. And when I turned up for that interview, there was a guy there, and he looked at my portfolio, asked me some questions, and he said, I can't give you a place on this course. And I was like, oh, when your bottom of your stomach just falls out, and you feel a bit sick in the mouth. You're like, oh. And he said, no, but he said, I'm not actually the head of the general art and design course. He said, I'm the head of the graphic design course. He said, and I think that would be perfect for you. And he showed me around the studio. He says, come with me, come and have a look. So I went and had a look, and he said, I'd love to offer you a place on this course. And as I looked around that room and I saw all the typography on the walls and all the graphic stuff, I was like, yes, that, that. So bit of a beautiful moment really in my life where things lined up, and it was like, this is your path.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Yeah, see, sometimes it takes someone else to show you what it is that you should be doing because they see something in you, right? And
Mm.
we don't come across many people like that in our lifetime, right? And you came across this person at a very young age. And
Yeah, right time, right place. He was the guy who should have been interviewing me was ill that day.
wow. Okay, things always happen for a reason,
Mm.
right? So that's huge. All right, so then you kind of realize that this is what you want to do. You're as excited about it. Now, a lot of people, they think they want to do something, and when they're doing it, they realize, oh, I actually don't think this is fun. I don't like this journey. And a lot of people switch. Did you ever get moments like that? And if you did, what made you stick to just kind of going down the same route?
Never,
Really?
never wavered, never thought to myself, what am I doing? The only time when I kind of thought to myself, what next? So I worked I was a junior designer in Cambridgeshire for a while, for a couple of years. What's it, 3 years? And then I moved to London, and I worked for an agency in Chiswick, and I was there for 4 years, and I got to a point in that business where the owner had offered me a directorship, like offered me shares in the business, and I was the head designer, and I just thought, but is this it? Is
Yeah.
this it? And
Mm.
at that point, I thought, I don't know. And then one of the account directors said she was off to Australia for a year to do check out some cute surfers, tropical rainforests and oceans. And I thought, do you know what? I fancy that. I fancy the cute surfer part. And yeah, and so I refused the directorship. I left the job and went traveling for a year. I didn't actually end up going with my friend because she didn't get her 1 year visa. I was 28, she was 30. But I did end up going with who was gonna be my husband.
Oh, okay.
I hadn't actually met him when I decided I was going, but we met on a night out in Richmond. And
Oh,
he said, "Oh, look, I've got to tell you something. I'm going traveling." And I was like, "Oh, really? Me too." And this is like my second, like, the stars collide moment. And he said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. He said, "Really? Where are you going?" And I said, "Well, I want to go to Thailand, Australia, New Zealand." And he's like, "Oh, really? Me too." He said, "When you going?" And I said, "Well, I just applied for my visa last week." He's like, "Me too. Give me your number."
no way.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, so did you travel together for a whole year?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh,
So after that night, we booked our tickets to go about 5 weeks after we'd met. And when we were in Thailand, he asked me to marry him.
did you say yes?
Yeah, I did.
Did. Oh my goodness.
I
Okay.
know.
Is it?
23 years later, we're still married, blissfully in love. It's all good.
Oh my goodness, that is an awesome story.
Mm.
Oh, I love that. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, so I want to kind of go ahead a little bit here. So you mentioned that, you worked for other people, you wasn't happy about it. And then you decided to kind of step into your own and build your own business, make your own decisions. Were you ever scared when you made that decision?
Oh my God. So I woke up in the morning and my jaws were aching. This was just after I sat up on myself. My jaws were really aching. I was like, why are my jaws aching so much? And I couldn't quite figure it out. And I went to the doctor and I was like, my jaws are really aching. And he said, are you stressed? I was like, no, I'm not stressed. Because I didn't feel, I kind of knew I could do it. I'd done it before. I knew I could.
Yeah.
And he's like, you sure you're not stressed? I'm like, I'm not stressed. And he says, I think you are stressed. He says, are you grinding your teeth? I said, I'm not grinding my teeth. Anyway, I came home and said to my husband, it's like, he said, oh, I was grinding my teeth. My husband says, yes, you were grinding your teeth at night.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness.
So I was stressing. I
Wow.
think it is stressful. And that whole thing about when you start yourself, one of the biggest fears is, can I support myself? Can I earn enough money? And, when you haven't got for me, I had a cushion. I had sold my shares to my business partner, so I had a few grand behind me, so I didn't have to worry from that perspective. But yeah, the stress of like, where are my clients? How am I going to find them? When are the jobs coming in? How much am I going to charge for these things? Now it's just me, and there's so many doubts. You just don't know what you don't know either. So yeah, it's quite terrifying. It's not for the
It
faint-hearted, is it?
Definitely not. Definitely not. And it's funny because you mentioned about like stress and how it kind of affects the body without us even realizing it, right? Um,
Mm.
they say stress is the biggest killer, right?
Oh my
Because
gosh.
I've heard that and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I remember, and I don't know if you know this, Trudy, but I used to be a police officer.
I just can't imagine it. You're just teeny tiny. Just sneak up on people like, oh.
Do you know what was so funny, right? So when I was in college, I could not get a job in a supermarket. All my friends had a job in a supermarket.
And you can reach the shelves or
So back then, right, I was a health issue, right? Because I'm only 4 foot 11. Well, back then I was 4 foot 10, right? So I grew an inch, right? Um, and because like apparently their counters and stuff in the show, you had to be a certain height, right? Like 5 foot 1 or 5 foot 2, I can't remember. Because I was under that, I could not get a job in a supermarket. Nobody would hire me. I'm like, when you're a student, that's the only jobs that you kind of go for is supermarkets, right?
mm.
Could not get hired. But yet the police force hired me. And I'm like, how does this make sense?
Well, they used to have a height restriction in the police force as well. They must have dropped that.
Yeah, they did because they were like, that's discrimination. So
Yeah.
they did drop that, right? But I was like, it was just ridiculous. But when I was in the police force as well, and to be fair, in the beginning it was fun, right? Because you kind of like playing cops and robbers, right? Who doesn't like playing that when they're young? And I was in my 20s, right? It was like, I'd do it during the day, I'm Kay, and like when I go out into my job, like I'm playing cops and robbers. But I was doing this for 6.5 years, and I didn't realize how much of a stress it was making on my body,
It's
right?
a hard, hard job, hey.
Yeah, and then all the shifts, right?
Mm.
Different shifts. So your body is always it doesn't have a routine because you have the morning shift, the afternoon shift, the night shift. So, and it was so difficult. I remember waking up one day, not even thinking I'm stressed. I was like, I don't feel stressed, and my whole body came out in a rash. Right, overnight. I went to bed completely fine. Went to the doctors and they told me that I was lucky that I actually woke up that morning because a rash like this actually closes your throat.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And then I'm like, how the hell did this happen? I was fine when I went to bed last night. And they were like, it's due to stress. And at that point, that's when I actually quit my role as a police officer. I was like, I've got to find something else because this is life and death right now, like literally, you know.
So then what then? What did you do after that?
So this is the thing. I went from job to job to job to job to job, right? Before I was a police officer, I was an MMA fighter, right? Because kicking ass is so much fun. And
I'll not mess with you. I didn't mean to say you were short. I'm really sorry.
right, and then that didn't work. I ended up in hospital again because I dislocated so many joints. I was on steroid injections, couldn't move my neck, my spine was all out of whack, and they told me if I carry on doing this, I'm going to end up paralyzed. So, like, it was one thing after another. I was then a campaign manager for Liberal Democrat, and so yeah, I was a hairdresser at one point. I did British Sign Language and worked with deaf children. Like I literally went from one thing to another, which was completely different. Worked in a magistrate's court. And then after the police role, my thing was, wouldn't it be great if I get into events? Right? And people were like, you're mad. No one's gonna hire you, right? Like you have no experience, no knowledge. But I got hired and then I went into events. But yeah, like stress, we got to be really careful of that. It creeps up on you. And being a business owner, like you said, is not for the faint-hearted at all. Not at all. And so how did you navigate the emotions, right, of when am I going to find my next client? Who are my next client? All these different things. How did you navigate that and just kind of keep going and keep going and keep going? Because a lot of people would have given up.
Well, there's two things that I would say that are great things to do when you're working for yourself. One is to join a networking group. You
Mm,
know, then you've got a bunch of people who they've got your back. You know, you meet them, you go there and you think, oh, I'm looking for work. But what you actually get is a network of people who support you, who they're peers. You can talk to each other, bounce ideas off each other. They can give you, they can supply you stuff as well as buy stuff from you. And it's a real, the more you put yourself out there and meet more and more people, the more you can help other people and other people can help you. And it's massive. I mean,
yeah,
there's so much support out there, especially women's groups. God, I love being a woman. How many of them are there? And it's just full of really kind, lovely, helpful, beautiful people who absolutely have your back. So networking, 100%.
yeah.
Building your network. And then the other thing is to get a great coach.
Mm,
Coaching, again, you meet brilliant, brilliant people who surround the coaches, but also, they throw so much perspective on things. You think, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing it for all the right reasons. And then they come along and launch a grenade into your thinking and go, what have you thought about this?
yeah, it's
What?
true.
What do you mean? No, I hadn't. I thought I had it all set, but that looks better.
Mm,
So don't try to do it all yourself, I think would be a huge piece of advice. Don't set yourself as an island. There's so many people out there who can help you, and for free, for paid for, you know, take
Yeah.
it. Take all the help you can get.
Absolutely. There's no reason why we have to do it on our own, right? I mean, being an entrepreneur is a lonely place to be, but there's so much support. There's so many people out there, like-minded people. It's just finding your people, right? Finding your tribe, making sure you're leaning on them. I love that advice. Thanks for that, Trudy. Now, I want to talk a little bit about your business, what you do, how you help your clients, and how you're different, because this is what you talk about a lot about being different, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So a lot of people feel in business they have to be perceived as something, whether, you know, whether it's always professional. That's the one thing all of my clients said to me, like, oh, I want to look professional. And I'm like, that's a given. But there's more to it than just being professional. The people who you can serve best are the people that you understand the most and the people who are like you in a way. So they value what you value. Your personality attracts or repels people, and that's okay. Because if as soon as you try to appeal to everyone, you don't appeal to anyone, and you're making your own job so hard. You know, it's like running up that hill because you're dragging all these different trains with you, if you like. You're pulling so many different things behind you. Actually, if you can get so clear as to who you can help, why you can help them, how you can help them, then all of the other stuff kind of falls away and your path gets clearer. You start talking directly to people who will listen to you. So a lot of my job is about finding out who people really are. So, I speak to people and they will very often say, I can help this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, all the people, do all the things, all the things. And I'm like, and who do you really want to help? Who do you know so well? Whose shoes have you stood in that you know exactly how these people are feeling? You know exactly how to help them. I was talking to a coach one time, and she said, I can help men and women from 18 to 80, help with all of their problems, from finding their career path to working out their nutrition plans and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, so you're a coach and you can help everybody with everything, but that's not going to help you. So what is it that you know? What is it that you've been through? What is it? Who are the people who you can really help? And she started to cry at that point. And I thought, okay, well, this is good because she's obviously thought of something. And she said, I can help survivors of domestic abuse.
Ooh,
And at
okay.
that point, all the hairs on my arm stood up. And I was like, yeah, that's who you can help. And she was like, I know them. I know how they feel. I know what they're going through. She said, I've been there. I know how to get through that. And when we started that meeting, she didn't have a name for her company. She was, she was all over the place. When we left that meeting, she was like, yeah, I've got a name. And she went off and she wrote me 2 sides of A4. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is who I help. And it all got so clear. And that doesn't just mean that we can create a brand. It just gives people that clarity that they can really go and really impact the right people. And
Yeah.
it's that clarity that's it's almost like a secret spicy sauce that people don't necessarily come to me for. It's like they've got their business, but sometimes just really helping them to narrow down who.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like lighting a fire beneath them, like lighting a fire in their belly because they get excited. They're like, oh, I'm excited. I'm passionate. And I can see this, and that's fun.
Do you know what, Julie? It's really funny that you talk about this because I feel like this is one of the biggest things that people get stuck on all the time. And they keep switching because they don't know who their ideal person is. They don't know what it is they want to do. They want to help everybody else, right? And so I feel like a lot of people are on this journey for years and years and years trying to figure it out. And so, working with you, is there any kind of steps, right? Is there one tip that you can give to people where they can kind of really kind of figure this bit out? Because until you've done this bit of work, the rest of it will fall into place, right?
Mm.
So, is there any advice you would give to somebody that's trying to figure out what it is they want to do because they feel like they can do it all?
Yeah, I mean, I do. Funny you should say that. So I have my brand personality quiz online. Now, this isn't going to give you all the answers that you seek, but it's brilliant at helping you see what your strengths are, what your personality is like, and it's based on Carl Jung's 12 personalities that he identified as being the recognizable traits in people that identify them. And you see them all the time. You got the hero archetype, who you would often see in films, and the entertainer, the funny guy, the next door neighbor type guy, and they all have their own various strengths and weaknesses. So if you can identify who you are, you might be the magician, the person who really helps people with transition, or the sage, the person who loves to teach people things. And it's really lovely. And I've had so much great feedback from people when they take the the this quiz, and they say, "Ah, I knew that," because you know yourself, but sometimes it takes that crystal clarity of somebody pointing out this is you that makes you go, yeah, that really is me. Another example of this, another coach actually, she works in the construction industry, and she was trying to be her messaging. She was like a bit, it didn't feel congruent to her, but she was pushing it out there, pushing it out there. In the end, she had to go back to working, taking a job because it wasn't working. But then she did my quiz and realized that actually she was the caregiver. And so her archetype was the caregiver, and she really tried to suppress that because she was in the construction industry, she's working with lots of men, and she'd suppressed that. So she wasn't allowing herself to be herself, and it was just causing that out of alignmentness. So yeah, go and take my quiz. So the URL for that is on my website. It's www.logolady.com. And it's actually on my homepage. It says quiz. There's a link to it, but other than that, it's / personality hyphen quiz. I nearly forgot that, didn't I?
So what we'll do, guys, is we'll put that in the show notes for you as well. So go and take a look at that, take the quiz, and see if it sparks any kind of thoughts or what you kind of thought of yourself. Make sure you go ahead and do that. Now, Trudy, you don't just help people with that, right? Like there's a whole list of different things when it comes to like branding, being creative, finding out who you are. So to what extent do you help people with? Because is it for beginners? Are you working with people that are advanced and want to tweak a little bit more? What does that look like in regards to clientele and how much you can actually help them and work with them?
So I tend to work with people who are ready to level up. They've been in business a couple of years, maybe 12 months, 18 months, but they they've started their business, they've done a few things, and they've figured out, okay, this is who I am. They've got a few clients and they're ready to invest now. They want to look professional. That's the key. Is like, I really want to look professional. I want to be able to charge what I'm worth. I want people to really understand who I am and what I do. And then they come to me and they say, make me look as good as I am, basically, as good as I want the perception of the quality of my work to match the actual quality of my work. And at that point, that's when we work together, and I will create them their new logo and their website and all the branding assets. So this is how you're going to show up on social media. This is your banners. These are your templates for your posts. This is your Zoom background and your letterhead. So everything is aligned and
Yeah.
super professional.
Oh, I love that. So it's not just logos that you do. It's not messaging or finding out who your ideal client. Like you do the whole shebang by the sounds of it.
Yeah. I mean, the whole. So I know there's lots of people who absolutely specialize in the strategy, the brand strategy and all of that, but that's not so much my strength. That's almost like a beautiful byproduct of the fact that I'm designing your branding. And I won't just go and say, okay, so you're a hairdresser, here's 10 logos. I'm going to say, right, so you're a hairdresser, whose hair do you want to be cutting? And how do you want them to feel? How do you want them to feel when they walk in your salon? Like, what's your real talents? Do you deal with curls, like, and frizz, or, what? And I deep dive, because for me, it's not ever just a logo.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like because yeah, if someone did come to you that's a hairdresser and someone else did, and you just had like templates, it would then all look the same, wouldn't it? And so
And you find a lot of it, though, don't you?
yeah, you really do. You really do. So I like the fact that you really go deep into who that person is, what they're like, and then find and get creative with regards to branding that actually suits them. That's really awesome. I like that. And the fact that it's going to show up the same everywhere on social media, emails, website, all of that. That's really, really cool. And the fact that you do websites too, oh my God. Like, I don't think there's anybody out there outside of the website industry that likes websites, doing websites. Like, it's a pain in the butt.
I know, and people just spend hours and hours and they agonize and it's painful. And you just think, just give it to someone who knows and like who will walk in. And yeah, it drives me insane that people spend hours and hours creating a website and it was so painful. And actually, it's not great. Like the end product, even if it looks fine, it's not necessarily great because they don't know the recipe of what makes a great website. For example, one of the things I always say to people, that my clients, is like when we're talking about content and they say, well, I do this and I do that and I have this qualification and I am this. And I'm like, whoa, stop right there. Your website is not about you. It's
Mhm.
about the problem that you solve. So put yourself on the other side of that and go, who's coming to my website? What did they need? So it's not about me. It's not my I. It's
Yeah.
you.
So,
You have this. You feel that you need this.
I love that because from what I'm getting now, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Not only do you work on the visuals, but it's also the feeling and the language,
Mm.
right, that needs to be portrayed to your right clientele. Is that right? Because a lot of branding people out there just look at the way it looks and, making sure it's all pretty, but you go deeper into that.
Absolutely. I mean, you just got to know that. I mean, I designed my first website in the year 2000, I think. It was a very different landscape then. But yeah, I've been around. I've been around for a while and I know a lot.
Yeah, now things have changed. There's another thing that really kind of popped up to me when you were talking, right? You have been in this industry for a long time. Technology has changed. The world has changed. How the hell do you keep up with the changes?
I know. When I look back and I think about when I first started and like that first website that I designed, like an animated GIF was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And the software like Photoshop and how long it would take. And I would sit there drumming my fingers while it processed something and the side quest drives and the floppy disks and the oh my gosh. Whereas, I mean, I would say now things are just getting easier and easier. And I think the risk is that people can and do it themselves because it's easy. The thing that people can't do, and I just did a whole thing on AI actually last week on LinkedIn. I asked LinkedIn to design my logo, not LinkedIn, AI to design my logo. Oh my God. Yeah. Anyway, go and have a look. It's hilarious. Um, but because you got all these tools, that it makes it so easy for you, but you end up with the very generic, all of these sort of designs. They look fabulous, they look really pretty, but they're so generic and they're not tapping into any of your personality and your essence, and they break all the design rules in terms of JPEGs and not being able to use them where you want to use them, the scalability and all sorts of things. But yeah, I did a ton of stuff last week actually on LinkedIn. Definitely worth a follow if you're not following me on LinkedIn.
I'm going to go check it out. Guys, you should too, right? Like, go and follow Trudie on social media. Go and stalk her out. Like, totally go and stalk her out, right? Now, Trudie, I know at this point people are thinking about, right, okay, they want to connect with you, right? What best platforms? We know LinkedIn. What best platforms, or is it just LinkedIn, that can people connect with you? And if they want to reach out to you to learn more, they may want to work with you, learn more about how you can help them. Where would they go?
Well, I'd start on my website, logolady.com. That's a great place to find. You can find out what I do, who I do it for, loads of examples of work that I've done over the years. You can find me on LinkedIn, as I said, Trudie Avery, or you can find me on Instagram as Logo Lady.
Fantastic, guys. Listen, go and check her out. Go and stalk her on Instagram, on LinkedIn, see what she's posting. Go check out her website. And don't forget to make sure you click on the link for your personality quiz so you can find out a lot more about yourself as well. Trudie, it was such an honor to have you here on the podcast. Thank you so much, so much. So many golden nuggets in such a short amount of time. I love it.
Thank you. It's been so nice to speak to you.
You too. Thanks for listening to Make Your Mark podcast at www.makeyourmarkpodcast.com. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get this and every other episode that comes out. We have lots of great stuff coming, so make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss it. And thank you in advance for all the reviews and comments. I appreciate it so much, and I look forward to serving you in next week's episode.